Hey everyone, I'm Marcia,
And I'm Stacy.
and you're listening to the God of My Girlfriends podcast.
We're happy to have you here.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. This is Marcia, and I'm here with Stacy. Hey, Stacy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad to see you.
Yeah.
And we also have our friend Athena here. Hey, Athena.
Hey, it's great to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
So I know you're both in Florida, and
hmm
Yes,
Hurricane Milton is coming up. So are y'all prepped and ready
yeah,
as well as you can be, I
as
guess,
well as we
right?
can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like
Yeah.
board up your windows and stuff?
We haven't done that in a while.
Mhm.
So no, we didn't do it this time.
But
And
y'all
I
are on you're on
haven't
the
either.
east, right? Athena,
hmm
you're on the east and you're in Gainesville, I know, Stacy. So you're just looking for a lot of wind damage
And
mainly.
then rain. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
flooding.
Depending on where it actually lands.
Oh gosh. Well, I hope you're not without power for days and days. When we had a tornado come through here a couple of years ago, we were without power for 10 days.
oof,
And luckily, my husband had bought a generator a few years before that, and it was like in March, so the weather wasn't too hot or too cold, so we could survive. But man, we get spoiled with electricity, don't we?
For
yes.
sure. For sure. And these hurricanes are just hard to think about because, I catch myself. The latest, the 5 p.m. advisory came out and it went a little bit further south. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that's better for me, but it's not good for the people that are further south. Like, it's so hard to even feel right about anything, because this is going to be just a devastating impact to Florida, around the Tampa area, around
Yeah.
even the central Florida is going to have a lot of impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like when a couple of weeks ago when Helene hit the North Carolina that side of the Smokies, and we were at our cabin in Gatlinburg. And yeah, we felt really blessed that we were spared because everyone was checking on us. They were like, "Are you guys okay? Is it bad up there?" And we were like, "No, we're fine." And you feel grateful that for that, but then you also feel really bad that somebody else got hit. But
hmm
man,
hmm
these storms are
Terrible.
yeah, and
Yeah.
coming one right after the other. So I'll be praying for you ladies this week. I hope everyone stays safe. Praying for Florida.
Thanks,
Thank
Um,
Marcia.
you.
yeah, yeah. Um, what else is going on with you guys?
We didn't need anything else other than that, so we just checked everything else off the list for later.
Okay. Oh, well, in a little bit, my friend Jenny Heft is coming on, and we're going to talk about something that is I'm very new to, which is called human design. And Athena, you're familiar with this, right? Have you been
Yeah.
using human design in your life for a while?
I'm familiar with it, and there's still a lot that I don't understand. So I'm excited for for you to talk with Jenny. But um, I learned about it probably, I want to say during the pandemic. Like Instagram is where I kind of learned about it,
Right?
and it piqued my interest right away because of some of the stuff that, you're learning about yourself. I love personality tests to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had done my natal chart, my birth chart. So that was fun. And then I saw that human design also uses your birth date, the time that you were born, and that's how they figure out your energy and all that kind of stuff. So that also piqued my interest because I didn't have to take a test to figure it out. It's just plug in my numbers.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
What is your type?
So my energy type is a manifester, which is I think 9% of the population or something along those lines is a manifester. And there's so many different things. So there's an energy type, there's your profile, which is the numbers, and your authority. Those are like the big three of human design. So My profile is a 1-3, and
Oh,
my authority is splenic. So it means like the 1-3 profile means that and it really resonated with me. It means I'm a researcher and, a trial by error where I have to investigate stuff. And it really, really resonated with me. And my authority being a splenic authority means that I have to go with my instincts, go within. So those three things is what caught my eye automatically in what that means. So that was really fun to learn. So I was diving into to all those things. And there could be so many different types of a manifester, right? There's different profiles, there's different
Hmm.
authorities. So it's all really interesting. And
Yeah.
of course I did my kids too. And
Yeah.
my daughter, my oldest, is also a manifester. And so when you start reading into it, a lot of the stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this is kind of why, one of the main things about a manifester that I found was um, really made sense to me is the need to have freedom and not be controlled. And that's something that I struggled with as a kid with my mom. And I see how me and my daughter butted heads too, because
Ah.
not that I try to control her, but like, trying to give advice and try to do those things. And it was like you want to do things on your own. And and it really makes sense in the way we both operate. We both enjoy having the freedom and the autonomy to do what we want. And so that was a really eye-opening thing because I'm like, me and my mom butted heads at times, and it was because there's that control issue where I don't want to be told what to do.
Hmm.
I have to figure it out on my own. And my daughter's the same way.
But isn't that great to help with understanding one another? And
Mm-hmm.
you're like, okay, she's not just being a brat. She's
Yeah.
being this way because she's made this way.
Yes.
And so it helps us find compassion and and understanding and empathy for each other when we learn about, I mean, that's what the Enneagram has done for me as well. Just
hmm
learning
hmm
what my kids' types are, what my husband is. And so when my husband and I are approaching a problem from two different ways and he sees it one way and I see it the other, we understand that, okay, we're not being difficult with each other. This is just how we process. And
Mm-hmm.
we try to, you know, acknowledge that the other person may have some new, a new way to look at it that we don't normally look at and we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's great. And that seems like what you're doing with human design as well.
That's what I'm trying to do. And I think with my oldest, because she's also a manifestor, and it's funny, we have the same IMBT, or is it
MBTI?
MBTI. We have the same type of MBTI too. So it's really interesting how me and her have a lot of the similar characteristics. But yeah, so I want to learn more about my youngest as well because it does help to how you navigate and how you approach people. And
Hmm.
I think it is a good thing to know and understand, especially with your family and your children.
Yeah.
What is an
Yeah.
Yeah.
IMBTI? What is that?
The Myers-Briggs,
Oh,
MBTI.
Myers-Briggs.
Briggs.
okay. Myers-Briggs. Yeah. I think I
Yeah.
took that a long time ago. That's when I learned I was uh, 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 an introvert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so we had Jen do both me and Stacy. We had her do
Oh, yes.
our graphs so that when we can talk to her, she can kind of go through. But it was funny how much Stacy and I's graphs are so similar.
Really? So share, what were you guys?
So I am a generator.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
3-5 is
Okay.
the profile.
Where do
And
you see
what's
the
the
3 5? Oh yeah.
authority?
Yeah. And I'm a manifesting generator, a 6-2.
Okay. So my youngest is a manifesting generator, and I think her numbers are 2-4.
Yeah.
Zandra is a 3-5
Yeah. None of that
manifester. So she has the same
ma
profile numbers. Yeah.
none of
So
that
that's
makes
why I'm like,
sense.
I can't wait till you talk. And that's the thing about human design is like there's so many different things that kind of make up your design.
Mm-hmm.
And once you kind of tune into it, all of it starts to make sense. And you start reading about it and looking up what it means and stuff like that. So it's really actually fun. because you start saying, "Oh yes, I'm like this. Yes, yes, yes." So
Yeah.
that's fun.
I'm excited to find out more. The picture that goes with the profile is really interesting. So I can't wait to hear
Yes,
more about that. It's like a very intricate picture
it
of
is.
just
It's
connection
like,
to the
so there's
body.
like the centers, and some of them are white and some of them are colored in, and then there's numbers within those centers.
Hmm.
All of those things mean something, and then there's lines that connect everything,
Yeah.
and all of that means something too. So that's why I said I know like the main things, but all those little intricate details also are part of it, and it's really interesting. So that's
Interesting.
exciting.
So, Athena, since you've learned this, you've known it for a few years, what is the main way that you kind of refer to this in your own life now?
One of the things is accepting of who I am, because there's times where I used to struggle with certain things, right? And
Yeah.
the way like I need to really understand something before I can move forward. That's part of being like, that's part of the 1-3 is where I need to like really understand a subject before I feel comfortable with it. That was, and I always used to think something was wrong with me with that, because I really sometimes it takes me a while to really get something, and then once I get it, I feel comfortable with it. Always trying. I'm kind of like a tinkerer. I'll try anything to you know, like I'll figure it out kind of person. And so just learning some of those things helps me feel more comfortable in myself. Um, Also knowing like, yes, I need freedom. I need to not feel controlled, and not and my stubbornness. I have a stubbornness about me that
You
I
do
also
not.
Not
but
you.
I realize, you know, it's because I don't want to be controlled, and I need freedom and making my decisions and stuff. And so there's things that I've thought about in my past where I'm like, yes, this is why I struggle with certain things, because I hate being told what to do. And that's one of those things that I learned, that's part of, you know, my design. So yeah, so some of those things just accept it, helped me accept myself and not question who I am. You know, it's more of feeling comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it's
like,
Yeah.
interesting
go
because
ahead.
I just kind of put this in AI to see what I could learn about the profile type, and I put
Mm-hmm.
yours in our shared note, Marcia, so you can look at it. But it
Okay.
says 3/5s are led to roles where they can inspire or guide others.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. As a
Well,
coach, that's very interesting.
I like the word you said, accepting,
Mm.
because I mean, who hasn't at some point thought to yourself, why am I this way? Why am I this way? Because
Yeah.
Yep.
and but you learn things about yourself maybe that you can work on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're also sort of forced to face some of your strengths and
Mm-hmm.
and be able to go, oh, I am good at that. I am good at that. And um we're not, I mean, I was just reading this morning in my morning devotional about how God made us all unique,
Mm-hmm.
and that there are not two Marshes out there. So I I think it goes hand in hand with God's design for us. God makes us unique individuals, and being able to use the gifts that God gives us, use the talents God gives us, see those in ourselves sometimes that
Mm-hmm.
we can't. Um, all of that, I feel like, is something that we're called to do, to learn about ourselves. And then when we learn,
Mhm.
we can be uh, better for those around us. Do y'all feel that way?
Yeah. Yes.
Sure. I think anything we can do for self-awareness is crucial to our capability to influence others and to have compassion for others and to
Mm-hmm.
just be good humans and build communities that are healthy, build relationships that are healthy. If we can't look and kind of be introspective and take feedback about ourselves and really grow ourselves,
Hmm.
then how can we ever hold that kind of compassion for ourselves or for others?
Mm, so
Yeah.
true. Mm,
And role modeling that, I think, is important because we don't always have to fall into, a certain way of doing things because we're all so different. So how do we leverage our strengths and encourage other people to do the same?
Hmm.
yeah.
But I bet, as human design isn't something that I've come across, but because it uses, that kind of star chart sort of method, I bet this isn't perhaps something that others would support because it's too, it could be outside, just like other assessments. It could be outside, coloring outside the lines a little bit.
Hmm.
And that curiosity, missing that curiosity, that might keep you from trying something like this is the same curiosity that feeds our self-awareness and just our willingness to innovate and to try new things.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom is, and I have a couple of friends too that are really into astrology.
Hmm.
And, I really, I was taught in my conservative background, that sort of stuff was taboo. You don't go into astrology or anything like that. And so it took me a long time to really see the value in that. Um, did y'all struggle with that? I mean, coming from in conservative, were you raised real conservatively, Athena? I don't really know your background.
I was raised, yeah, I was raised in a Christian missionary aligned church, so it's definitely
Mhm.
conservative. And it's just, I don't know if I ever told Stacy the story, but there was a time where I remember first learning about chakras, and I had come into it was like a Bible study. I was an adult too; it wasn't like I was a kid, and I had mentioned it, and immediately was like, no. They were telling me, no, don't talk. Like, and
Mm,
I was kind of taken aback, and I was like, oh, it didn't seem like it was something that should have been bad, but I really was told not to delve into those things. But of course I was curious, so I kept going. But like,
there's that stubborn
um,
streak.
yes. And that's another thing about the profile, the 1-3 profile is a curiosity. I am very curious and I ask a lot of questions.
Mm.
Um, to the point where I get on people's nerves sometimes, I
I'm
know,
the
because
same.
I ask a lot of questions. Um, but yeah, and also astrology, like yeah, all that stuff I was always told it was, not, it was evil and not of God, and
Yeah. No
yeah,
astrology, no yoga,
no
no,
tarot cards,
yeah,
no
no,
any of
no.
those things.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm, that's
Or I
interesting.
think there's probably room for all of that. There's, like I said, there's curiosity, and there's, you can learn a little bit from anything. So.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't change who we are,
Mm-mm.
It doesn't change. It doesn't have any power over us.
Yeah.
I recently, like in the past few months, got my own tarot deck, and that would have been something I never would have done in the past. But I just find it so interesting. I just did a summit, an online summit with one of my friends, and she's had decks for a while. And so we were going into this thing and she pulled a card and I was out of town and I said, "Oh, pull a card for me too." And it was so interesting, the cards that she picked for us and how much they applied to the work we were getting ready to do in that online summit. It was so cool. And it's just it for me it's like a prompt. I read
Hmm.
it and then that prompts me to think about how it might apply.
Yeah,
And it's just creative thought process.
I agree with that. I think that too. It's just a way of kind of tuning in to something that, you know, could help you along your way, or just like you said, think about it. That's really cool.
Yeah, I have a friend that's been taking a tarot class and learning how to read tarot cards, and she's really enjoying it. And yeah, a few years ago, I would have said, "Oh, girl, uh, that's of the devil. That's of Satan." You know, there we were always told that um, anything like that is satanic work. But I'm thinking,
Yes.
why can't God use it too? Why did they decide it was satanic work? Unless that they just don't want you, like you said, having critical thinking of yourself. They don't want you to have any other influence except the influence
Hmm.
that they have over you. Um, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Well,
also like, the I also like I don't know it well, but like the phases of the moon too also is something that, there's things that each phase of the moon represents something
Hmm.
that you could, work through within yourself. Like in a new moon, you can set your intentions, and by the full moon you release. And so all those kind of things are fun to me. I think it's fun, and it's a way of, moving through life, doing something
Hmm.
different.
Hmm. And it's not going to hurt you. I mean, it's like
No.
take it if it works for you, and if it doesn't,
Hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's how I feel. I mean, if I feel like something like that is going to threaten my Christianity, then that's a pretty weak foundation I've got my Christianity based in, right? I
Yeah.
mean, even just looking at like other religions when I was growing up, they never wanted us to even read and
Hmm.
learn about other religions because it might sway us away from the truth. But I'm thinking, but if it's the truth, and if this is the real thing, how could it how could it be anything other than that?
right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
saw, go ahead.
I just think about all of these things that kind of incorporate nature
Mm,
Hmm.
and things like where we're born and our point in time of coming into the world and the world around us and utilizing intuition. So the tarot
Hmm.
cards, the way that, and I'm not a tarot expert, but the way I use them is I let it trigger my intuition, trigger my creativity.
mm,
And um, so those are all things I think that are they're part of our world, and it's how we interact with our inner world and our outer world. And
Hmm.
the thing about our Christianity or our faith is it's another thing that really informs how we view how I view tarot is in part impacted by my faith. So it's not like suddenly I pull this card out of a deck and it just demolishes my sense of faith. It's
right.
actually kind of the opposite, where my faith informs how I pull in information
Mm.
and evaluate it. So I just don't think that it needs to be that black or white, one or the other. It can be a mixture. And I believe that's probably what makes others uncomfortable. And that's what would have made me uncomfortable years ago. No, you can't mix it together. It has to be one way or the other, either right or wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's that black and white, non-dualistic thinking, right? It's if
Hmm.
it's not if it's not right, it has to be wrong. There's no in the middle, and um, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
I actually saw when I was talking about other religions, it made me remember that recently I saw a quote that Hope Francis said to children in Singapore, which she said, "All religions are paths to reach God. They are, to make a comparison, like different languages, different dialects to get there. But God is God for everyone. If you start to fight saying, my religion is more important than yours, mine is true and yours isn't, where will this lead us? There is only one God, and each of us has a language to arrive at God. Some are Sikh, Muslim, Hindu, Christians. They are all just different ways to God. I
I
was,
love that.
and when I saw it, I was like, there's no way the Pope said that. And I had to because you see things online, right? That people attribute quotes to, you know, they'll say like, I saw some meme the other day and it said, it was Abraham Lincoln saying, you know, he didn't like the internet, right? Yeah, I don't think Abraham Lincoln said that. But I looked it up and he did say this on a trip to Singapore recently to some children. And I think it's even especially poignant that he said it to children as they're trying to grow and learn. And he's like, just find God, however you can find him, just find him,
Mm,
right? That's what it says to me.
yeah,
And oh my gosh, I just loved it. And
I love that too. Because
yeah,
it's true. A lot of people's religion is also tied to their culture too. And I just
that's
think that's
right.
so important to not mess with that, right? It's like, how do you, it's their culture, it's their, how they were raised, how they are, you know? So yeah, I love that.
Mhm. Yeah. What are
Yeah.
you thinking, Marcia? I can see you thinking. Your wheels are spinning.
Well, I'm also thinking about what we said recently about, and we read a book recently, and I'm trying to think about what the name of the book. I've read so many books, but they were talking about, really when you get to know yourself, you're also getting to know God, and
Mm,
when you get to know God, you're getting to know yourself. So because they're sort of one and the same. God is inside of us. He's working in us. And so getting in touch with our, as Dr. Mary Lynn said the other on a recent podcast, our essential selves,
mhm.
that helps us find who we are authentically. Is that the right word? Authentically, yes.
Mhm.
And I know that I have definitely felt a peace I've felt more at peace with myself as I have used all of these different things to just kind of understand myself and be a better person.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So I hope if anyone's out there listening that they will, you know, find something that works for them and not
Yeah.
feel like uh, that there that there's only one thing that they can use in order to, whether it's a Enneagram or human design or Myers-Briggs or whatever. If it
Mhm.
helps you
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
better, go for it.
And
Absolutely.
honestly, all of those things, I have seen similarities of who I am. So I see the similarities with, because I've done them all. And there is similarities and the makeup of who I am. So it's really cool to just, have fun with it and
Yeah.
learn about yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Have fun, y'all.
Fun,
Yes.
not fear. Have
Yes.
fun, not fear.
Have
Have
fun, not
fun.
fear. Oh, I want a t-shirt that says that. Have fun, not fear. That may be the new
Yeah.
slogan. Oh gosh.
I love
Well,
it.
well, thanks for joining us today, Athena. This has been a fun talk.
Thank you for having me. Yes, it has. I've enjoyed it. Thank
And
you
we're
so
gonna
much.
we're gonna have you back soon because you're in our mastermind group, and we're
Yes.
gonna we're gonna tape. We tried to tape a couple of weeks ago, and life happens sometimes, and we
Yes, it
couldn't all
does.
get together, but we're gonna try to tape again later this week, and that'll be on, and that'll be a fun conversation, I know. So
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much.
thank you. And everyone stay tuned. We've got Jen Hoeft coming up. She is a human design instructor and a yoga instructor. She's in all the bad stuff. No, she is lovely. You're gonna love her. And yeah, y'all don't miss this conversation with Jen Hoeft. Hey Jen, how are you doing?
Hi, you guys. Hi, girlfriends.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you with us today.
So
You and
happy to.
I, we've known each other for a long time. Kind of circled around each other here in Nashville because we're both musicians. Because you're an incredible drummer on top of everything else. I was reading about everything that you do, and it's like overachiever. You do so much, and you do it all so well. Between yoga and human design and drumming, and oh my gosh, you're into all kinds of stuff. So, if you don't mind, let's just start off the show here with you telling everyone a little bit about yourself, where you live, what you do, and yeah, just give us a little overview of what your life looks like right now.
Well, thanks for having me, you guys. I'm honored to be here. I will talk God's spirituality and human design all day long, so you're going to have to stop me. But yeah, I am in Nashville because in 1992, I'd gotten a graduate degree in conducting. I'd gotten an undergraduate degree in music and music. And I just thought, I need to go somewhere where I'm playing music without getting graded.
Mm,
Um, so I've moved here and I've been playing drums ever since. My other passion has always been fitness and health and wholeness and wellness. And
mm.
my theory is if you look at anyone's bookshelf, you can see what they really love. What are they really into? And all mine was about astrology and self-help and questions and answers. And so 10 years ago, human design just came into my life and I just dove in. So it sort of completes the musical passion where I can live in the moment with friends, making something, creating something.
Hmm.
And then the health and the fitness, staying healthy, being alive, being in this body and serving with others.
Hmm.
But it brings in this real spiritual, philosophical map that I've basically fallen in love with it.
Oh, good. And it's kind of I mean, a relatively new, I think I saw something about 91, 92 or something is when
Hmm.
I can't think of the guy's name that developed this. Do you know
Raw.
that background?
In 1987, actually,
Okay.
he Ra Uruhu, which was not his original name, but he was an Ibiza and he was a scientist and a Renaissance man and a musician. And he was downloaded for 8 days by a voice. He calls it the voice, that gave him a synthesis of these four ancient modalities, basically. Western astrology is 4,000 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The I Ching is Chinese. Wisdom about behavior, that's over 4,000 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The chakra system, the Hindu chakra system is ancient, and the
Mm-hmm.
Kabbalah is ancient Jewish mysticism. And it gave him a synthesis, 1987. He worked on it for 3 years, and then he came out with it. He started sharing it and started sharing it. So it's very young, but it's a quantum of those four old ones.
Interesting.
Like a
Yeah.
new
So it's
soup.
like, yeah. So I love all things personality, all of them. And this is a new one for me, so I hadn't heard about it. I have a friend that, we just heard in the girlfriend chat who mentioned it. And so tell us a little bit about your experience with it in terms of, how it's helped you connect and connect others to themselves. What is that like?
So it's explained a lot for me. And if I could just a little background, I grew up Catholic, raised Catholic, um, and I was there until sixth grade, and I asked the nuns, why can't girls be priests? And there was no good answer. No one had a good answer, and it was super, super puzzling. And I knew it wasn't because God didn't want us not to be priests. I just knew that. I had a knowing. So I felt like I've swum upstream my whole life, searching for place and purpose and meaning and how to shine as brightly as I can. Um, and this map, every year I get an astrology reading on my birthday, which is pretty woo-woo for some people. They're like, oh my God. But for some reason, I've always been curious about it. And something always resonates when someone else reports what the stars are doing. I go, that resonates. We don't know what's really true or not,
Mm-hmm.
but something inside of us does.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
different for everyone. So anyway, about in 2015, I had a reading, and this woman who's always given me a reading, she said, your intuition just whispers one time, really softly. And I went, it does. No one's ever told me, or no doctor can tell me where my intuition is in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where your intuition is in your body? You know?
No. Well,
It to
but
me, it's a knowing. To me, it's like an internal knowing. It feels like it's when I experience it, it feels very central.
So you're pointing at your
Mm-hmm.
heart.
Mm-hmm.
Marcia, you think,
knowing. Yeah, I tend to think it's here, but sometimes I think it's up here. I don't know. That's a good question. Or maybe, you know what? I think it's in my gut.
ding, ding, ding.
It's in my gut. It's not here or here. It's down here. That's
So
where it is.
it is for you, Marcia. It is confusing because if I look at your chart, I can say you are going to have a little whisper of an intuitive voice, but that's not where what you follow right away. You get a gut feeling of, do I have energy for this or no? It's a right below your belly button, a mechanic that goes, mm-hmm, mm-mm,
Mm-hmm. That is
mm-mm.
so true.
That's true.
Yeah, and I guess we should tell people
Oh,
that
we jumping in.
well, we did ask you to do our charts before we came on here because we wanted to learn a little bit about some things, but that's interesting. So that's my chart. So how would I know? Where does it tell me that it's my gut? Does it say it on there?
So the second square up from the bottom, all those big squares and triangles are
Hmm.
chakras.
Ah, those are chakras. Gotcha.
And so if we look at the very bottom one is the pressure to do your life. If something is colored in, whether it's red or black or yellow, whatever the color, if it's colored in, it's on,
Mm.
transmitting. It's
Mm.
it's talking even. You could just say it's on. If anything is white, it's not talking, it's receiving. It's
Interesting.
Because mine's a whole lot of white.
you have a lot more white. You have a lot more white.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
there's Stacy's.
Mhm.
Interesting. That
But
is.
both of you guys have the second square up from the bottom colored in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's your gut. It's called the sacral center. It's the second chakra. And that's the place, it's a mechanism that's built in that if it's colored in, it's on. And so it's a mechanism that goes, mm-mm,
Mm.
mm-hmm. It knows. It knows.
Yeah.
Mm.
So our issue in life is we're really trained to lead with the head and make these mental decisions, and it's worked for thousands of years. It's worked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but according to this human design system since 1781, we shifted into have more wisdom in our body than in our mind.
Mm.
Hear that that you just
Mm-hmm.
did? That is your gut knower
Yeah.
hearing what's true for you.
Yeah. I feel it. I definitely feel that. Yeah, because I am a I follow my gut. That is for sure. And it overrides my head and my heart sometimes.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. That's really correct.
Oh,
That's
good.
it's and the same is true for you too, Stacy, that you have that gut chakra colored in. That
Mm.
makes both of you guys some type of generator, it's called. It's just
Mm-hmm.
a type saying, oh, the sacral's colored in.
Mm-hmm.
You have a built-in mechanism. Let me say that everyone has a built-in heart mechanism
Mm-hmm.
that knows, that's connected to source, that is connected to love, that is bigger than all of us and hard to put into words. But this mechanism is an overlay of like an electrical system that creates an aura that allows us to really know ourselves, our prism, how we're different and differentiated,
Mm-hmm.
how to make good decisions. Because if we could always access our heart and have a clear knowing, well, gosh, that would be easy.
Right.
That would
Yeah.
be ideal. That's in a perfect world. That is available to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been thrown into the planet or chosen to be here to mix it up, to have challenges, to suffer a little bit, to not know. And how do we then know ourselves to know what is true for us? Well, the system helps with that a lot.
Mm.
So that's part of what we are talking about a lot this season is our authenticity, and coming to terms with grasping, understanding ourselves, as and living life and approaching relationships with ourselves and others from that place of authenticity. So this sounds like it's a great tool.
You know, what I love about it, and it might be just a little bit of my logicalness, is I love that it's mathematical. It's based on the very moment you were born, not the first breath, not the the first cry, or it's the moment that you were separate from your mother. So at that very second, you had your own imprint of this field
Mm.
of love that's been um, imprinted by the stars.
Mm.
Archetypes of the stars imprints us in a way that we go, ah, okay, this is my costume in this lifetime that I chose. Don't
Mm.
get to be a victim of this life. And then we get to look where we are a victim of this life and work on that. But it's mathematical in the way that there's not a repeat chart for 27,000 years. All the
Wow.
charts are how you are different, how you decided to come in, though, and be the prism of light.
What does human design call that journey, that the path that you take to discover yourself and to kind of live into your potential?
Hmm. Rob would call it waking up to your not self, like kind of knowing what's getting in the way
Mm.
so that you can, most of us really just take for granted what we are. And it's almost so clouded over by the noise and the um, almost self-hatred, really,
Mm-hmm.
that if we can understand, oh my God, where are the pockets of that? This chart shows us where the pockets of conditioning really got us as babies, because this is our chart as a baby, and where we've had to protect ourselves and maybe build walls or please or dance around people or talk too loud because we don't. This is all, this shows us our defenses
Mm-hmm.
and where we've defended. And I don't know what that journey is called, Stacy. It's a path to authenticity. It's a path of differentiation. And their motto is know yourself, love yourself.
Mm.
And when you can do that, you can love others more.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think
Right.
that's really key. I think it's key to know yourself and love yourself, because if our capability to love others comes from our capacity to understand how God loves us, and how, that compassion and grace, and knowing that and understanding that, if that's how we get the energy and capacity to love others, we have to start there.
Agreed. Agreed. I think the only you're saying exactly what I believe and what the system believes. The difference in this system possibly is God isn't outside of us. It's not separate. It's not above us. We are the goldfish. God is the goldfish and the goldfish water and the goldfish bowl and the goldfish food.
Mm-hmm.
So when we can feel what's this light that is the water of the goldfish bowl and calm down into what our particular goldfish is, now we have this resonance to authentically be real. We
Mm.
don't need to be now a chihuahua or
Right.
Thank goodness.
Right.
We just need to be ourselves. Like that's enough. Yeah.
Yeah, because Stacy and I both follow we love to read an author and speaker named Richard Rohr. He's a Franciscan priest. And he says that, you've got your false self. You were saying not self. Your false self that you develop because of so you're basically saying a similar thing in that you're born one way, but then all of these things happen to you. You experience the world and life and you get hurt and you put up defenses. We talk about that a lot with Enneagram stuff. That's how
Mhm.
you develop these shields. And then you try to figure out, okay, I've been acting this way because it's a shield, but that's not really me, right? That's what you're saying. So we're getting to know ourselves. And I posted something the other day on the God My Girlfriend's thing. I saw this quote from Teresa of Avila. Is that how you say
Mhm.
that? Where it
Mhm.
says you find God in yourself and yourself in God. And so I think that's what you were saying about the goldfish. Like it's all God is in us. He's around. He's the water around us. He's the protector, the bowl. He's the food. It's like once we start realizing that and stop trying to separate. I was taught so much, we are so separate from God and we have to do all these things in order to be in his
Cross the chasm.
yeah, get in his
Yes.
good graces, right? To make sure that we're hashtag blessed. Um, but we really have a lot more. We can control that more than I thought we could before because we have access to God. He is here, right?
I mean, if I can be so bold, I would say she is us.
She, yes,
She
she.
is us. We are fractals of God. We are drops of her ocean. We're consciousness. I mean, expanding at her will,
Hmm.
really. But
Hmm.
how to do that in a way that is is full of joy or is full of service, is full of compassion, is includes the dark stuff.
Mm. And
Because
uses the dark stuff, right? For
yeah,
learning purposes, I
there
guess,
is
right?
no light without dark,
Right.
and there's no dark without light. That they are two sides of that same coin. So we're here to really mutate that darkness, wake up to it, and then cradle it. We're not going to cut it out. We're going to
Hmm.
go, we're going to hold it closer. We're going to mutate it and use it as power for more light. Richard Rohr, I love.
Oh, yeah.
If I
Well,
could be just at his feet, in Albuquerque, I've been to his monastery, whatever it is. He's just,
oh, you've been to the what is it called? Center of Action. I hear it's tiny. It's
it's
like just
very
as
small.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And he lives on in a little hermitage there on the grounds. And I'm like you. I would give anything to have 5 minutes at his feet just to talk with him. And I know he's battled cancer off and on for the last few years, and he's getting frailer and doesn't see as many people these days. But yeah, his writings have been very instrumental in both Stacy and I. I mean, I won't speak for you, Stacy, but I think I can that
Hmm.
in our
Yeah.
spiritual growth
Hmm.
and just you know, learning to open up and widen up the possibilities of things that can help us and things that we
Hmm.
can how paths to God, different things, how we can do it. And learning that a path to God is learning to myself, learning who I am is that's been huge for me. So, so if someone wanted to come like um talk to you about human design, like if someone says, "Hey, I want to know I want to meet with you about human design." What's the process like to go through that?
So it's easy, you know, pretty much I go, are they leaning in? If they've heard it and their intuition goes, oh, I want some more information, or I I love that. My design is a projector. So I'm a lighthouse and I according to my design, which I'm sure I've done wrong my whole life, or I wouldn't have done all those things. I would have waited just studying philosophy and spirituality and shown that. And then people come, people come, and they invite me to, look at their chart. So humandesignwithjen.com is where people go. You can just book it on there. And I teach classes in Nashville every Monday night at a place called the Estuary. It's a mind, body, spirit, um, what is it? Just a gathering of people that therapy, basically.
Yeah.
I teach there every Monday night, and it is in person. So you're sitting with people that all shine differently, but all are there to go, I want to know more about this this pattern, this prism, and this light that's coming through me, and I want to know more. So there's a commonality in the seeking, let's say.
Oh, so it's a group class you teach.
Hmm.
Ah.
It's on Zoom too. It's in person at the estuary, but you can zoom in from anywhere.
Oh, how cool.
It's really, 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 really my favorite thing.
Really? Oh my gosh, I can tell. I love it when we talk to people and you just see like you're just glowing and you just light
Mhm.
up and it's something that you're passionate about and that you've obviously seen work for you and you've seen it work in other people to make them more comfortable in their own skin, understand themselves. What was it that Athena said? She said it's helped her just oh, what was the word she liked? Accept herself. It was
Mhm.
she's been
I
more
think it was accept.
more accepting of herself as she has learned about these things. And yeah, and maybe how you can be a little more gentle with yourself when those defenses come up, but you can recognize them, right? You start being able to recognize patterns. Is that correct?
That is, that's astute right there. That's what it is more being a witness of your life instead of a reactive victim.
Mm.
If
Ooh.
if so, just for an example, Marcia, you're an emotional being. I can tell from your chart that your emotional center
Hmm.
colored in.
Hmm.
So your emotions are always on. They can't not be on. And
Mm.
and you don't get to control them. So you're going to go down and you're going to go up and you're going to go down. And it's part of who you are. Half of the planet is like you.
Okay.
More 52%
Is that why
emotion.
so many are on Cymbalta?
That's correct. That's correct. Because they can't do the low. They don't know how to go low and not be a victim of it or not die or
Yeah.
so so really we're all at the mercy of emotional defined people.
Mm.
So if you know that you're emotional and you're the conditioning field, it's talking no matter it's creating your aura, Marcia. So wherever you go, this is what's shining is your emotions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's perfect. But if you know that, when you're
Well,
down, you're going to go, hey, you guys, it's not you, but I'm going to go get creative over here and just get in the juice of my process.
yeah.
And when you're up, you're going to go, here, you're not going to be a victim of your emotions.
Yeah.
And Stacy and I are not emotionally defined. So it's white there in that triangle, lower triangle on the right. It's white. So we're amplifying everyone's emotions. We're
Mm.
amplifying. They're not ours. It's the world coming in there.
Hmm.
And so it seems really loud. And so we've probably tiptoed or been pleasers around emotional people so that we don't poke the bear.
Hmm.
I don't know if that resonates with you or not.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like I have a very conflicting relationship with emotions, but I definitely sense others'
That's the high
emotions in the
spectrum.
room. Hmm.
Yeah, that's empath. The high spectrum is you can feel everyone's emotions. Um, the dance for you is to know if, whose is whose. Wait, are these mine? Probably not.
You know what I do?
What?
I know I'm feeling an emotion, but I have no idea what it is. And I know at this point in my life, like when that, it doesn't happen all the time, but when it happens, I have to just give myself time. And it could be a day or 2 days or a week. And then suddenly I know what it is I'm feeling and why. It's so bizarre.
That's pretty awake though, Stacy. That's pretty aware. We
Interesting.
uh-huh. Yeah, I look at your emotional center. I want to say if even as more of a witness, you can go, wait, is that even mine? And drop into getting really honest with that because you're really going to hear everyone else's or feel everyone else's first.
Hmm.
That,
Interesting.
uh-huh.
Mm.
And Marcia, you're gonna just ride that. You're never here to be, you're never gonna know truth in the moment, spontaneously now, unless it's the heart just having that kind of that, I don't know how I know it, but I know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
about decisions, you always have to take your time. You always have to sleep on it because you're always doing this with the wave. So when
Hmm.
you're up, it's going to feel like, yeah, heck yes, I
Yeah.
want that. When you're down, you're like, why did I say yes?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is me. That is so me. Oh my goodness. We had a Dr. Mary Lynn on a couple of weeks, was it a couple of weeks ago or was it
Mhm.
last week? I'm losing track. And she is the author of a really great new book called Rebecoming. And she talked about how all of our decisions are processed through our emotions.
Mhm.
And so I wonder about, I mean, for me, that's the truth. Because I'm
It is for
emotional.
you. That's,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all
I
of my
bet for her
decisions.
too.
Maybe so, but maybe not for y'all so much. Yeah. So, what are y'all's decisions based on if they're not through your emotions? Because I,
I
I don't know how that could be. How do people live
You
like that?
don't. You can't know that.
I
That's
don't.
right. Stacy, how are you doing?
Yeah, well, the Enneagram language for me is has been very informative because I think and do and I have such a strong intuition. So I would say a lot of my decisions are just almost instantaneous because I just know it's the right thing to do or and that isn't an emotion for me, it's more of a body sensation.
Do you know human design because you just described your chart, Stace?
Oh, no, not at all, but I know Enneagram.
It's very good. Her body wisdom is lit up. Your intuitive primal body wisdom is the lower left triangle, your
Mm,
spleen. And it's on and it's connected to your throat, so you can always speak about it. It's immediate, it's fast. It's the spidey sense.
yeah, I that's that I understand that for sure. Spidey sense.
And Marcia, you have that too. It's not connected to your throat, that lower triangle on your
Hmm.
left, but
Hmm.
it is connected to your willpower and it is connected to your emotions and it is connected to your fuel. So
Hmm.
you're gonna feel a spidey sense. You both are the spidey sense. Stacy, you can feel if you have energy for something or not after that. Marcia, you go, do I have energy for that?
And one day I do, and one day I don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have on the bigger
Yeah.
decisions, you have to just wait.
I'm terrible, but I can't make a decision because one day I'm like, yes, this is, and then the next day I'm like, yeah, no. Oh, yes. I mean, I'm just like all over the map. I'm terrible.
That's correct for you though.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. That's crazy.
Let me just add, as emotional people, emotionally defined people, half the world, they're gonna see a rose or anything and go, oh, I see that. Wait, let me look at it from this angle. Wait, this angle. And then
Hmm.
this, it just needs time to look at it based on your
Hmm.
changing
Hmm.
and the light's changing, but you're changing to
Hmm.
be able to process the experience of the rose.
Yeah.
Stacy and I kind of snap it and go, "Oh my God, yeah, that was great."
Yeah.
It's just a different.
You're
It's
like,
like
okay, that's beautiful. Okay,
that's
cool.
beautiful. Yeah, I
Yeah.
captured it. Yeah. So there's probably 6 or 7 different types of intuition, but every single one is wired differently according to stuff that's lit up and stuff that's not lit up.
Hmm.
What gets to the throat, but what doesn't get to the throat.
Hmm.
Um,
And
yeah.
with the throat, that means like being with your voice, using your voice. Is that
Mm,
it is?
all roads in this map lead to the throat, where we're expressing our thoughts or expressing our actions. Both are true.
Mm.
So what gets to the throat is what's going to come out.
Mm.
So everything's trying to get there. And if something doesn't get there, it means someone has to come in. We're going to be co-creative. No chart is completely colored in. We're all half and half, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so that we need each other. We're fractals and pieces of this bigger puzzle.
Mm.
So don't go out and get it. Wait, you guys especially wait for it to come to you.
Mm.
That's the magic bullet for both of you. As generators, meaning that second square up from the bottom colored in, that's the
Mm-hmm.
Buddha center. It just sits and waits
Ooh.
for it to come to you. You don't need to go to it. It's going to be correct. And you just play with this and practice and see if if that works.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a belief system or a religion or anything like that. It's just,
Right, right.
does this mechanism actually work?
That's so
Is that like
fascinating.
a settled feeling? Is that what that is when things just feel like they fall into place? That's what that is. Okay.
Yeah, Stace,
In
it
that
feels on
language.
your little chart there, it says your strategy, your signature. If it's out of line, it's called frustration for both of you. If there's frustration, that's the benchmark for, wait, if did I initiate that instead of let it come to me?
Mm.
Did I, did I stir that soup and make my decision from my head instead of my intuition? So that's when frustration is like your guide. Satisfaction or calm, settled, easy. That's satisfaction is your guide for you're right on track.
Mm.
It's coming to you. It's, after you do a big run or exercise, there's this,
Yeah.
your body's going to feel satisfied if you're practicing this.
So we're both frustrated, Stacy, according to
Yes.
our charts.
I bet you're
Yes.
thinking about it too much, you two.
Oh, that's so funny. No,
And I
that's
bet you're
hilarious.
thinking, yeah.
And and at a kind of a high level, it looks like there's like different profiles, and she and I have completely different profiles. So what's the profile concept?
So I'm just going to say that Ra, the voice, didn't tell Ra about types or about profiles. He didn't name all that stuff. He named where do we do and where and when do we wait.
Mm.
That was the big deal for this chart. So Ra said he named everything after that for the next 10 years. So the profile is basically the cloak that you wear in this lifetime. And it's based on where the sun was and where the earth was the moment you were born. So there's a point. So Stacy, yours is 12.3 is where your sun was. The 12.3 is an I Ching gate. So if you were to go to the I Ching and look up 12, the hexagram 12, you would get like this download of how your sun shines. Line 3 is even more specific, and we get to go, oh, 12, line 3, it's coming off of your throat, and point 3 is the first number in your profile. Point 3 is the experimenter, the scientist, the mistake maker. We need you to make mistakes. We need you to trial and error stuff and bonds made and broken so that humanity can learn. So you're basically the experimenter and the scientist and the resilient one.
Mm. Oh, those are the numbers over there on the side. I see that.
Right. Stacy's a 3-5, experimenter, scientist, heretic.
Yay! I've always known I was a heretic.
You
Yay!
just made her day.
You're the rebel. You're a rebel. How do you know that about you?
It's just my life experience. I'm always the one to count. I like count. I don't just assume. I don't assume. I counter,
Mhm.
and I'm very curious, and I don't have a problem speaking up if I don't agree.
Mhm.
Your throat's lit up. Both of your throats are lit up, so your throats are gonna speak up. But Stacy, that unconscious heretic, it's in the background going functional, practical solutions for humanity as you experiment and try this and try this and try this.
Interesting.
I see that in Stacy so much. That is Stacy. That's awesome.
And Marsha's is a 6-2. There's only 12. So 6-2, then 6-3, then it goes back to the beginning.
Mm.
So the 6 is a role model. But the first 30 years you were a 3. The first 30 years you were a 3 making a bunch of mistakes, trial and error, bonds made and broken, scientists.
Oh, heck yeah.
And then for 20 years, you're on the roof alchemizing that wisdom. At 50-ish, you come off the roof as a role model.
Wow, that sounds just like your life story right there in a nutshell.
Look at her face.
Okay. I'm in shock right now.
Wait, are you in chakra?
I'm in I'm in chakra right now. No, that is so true. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, 30 and 50 were two huge numbers in my life that where huge changes happen. And what you just described, oh my gosh. Yeah. If you are just listening to this podcast and not watching it, I'm lifting my job off the ground right now. So that's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
It's funny because if you're listening too and you're like the planets are really woo-woo, at 30, everyone has, or we're all affected by the planets.
Mm.
Think of the moon. The moon affects what? The tides. The water on the planet is affected by the moon. The baby little planet. We're 75% water. How can we not be affected by these objects in space around us? It's I don't know. It's me. Of course we're affected by them. But Saturn, every 28, 30 years, comes around for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something to be, a page to be turned there for everyone. But a 6 has a more radical page turn, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're like a trifecta, this different whole chapter. And then
Wow.
at 50, Chiron returns, the wounded healer. And we start being able to, if we've done the work, teach from our wound.
Yeah.
At 50, we're called off. You're called off as a role model to do this, to do a podcast, to share friends and share spirituality. And yep.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Oh my gosh. And same with Stacy. I mean, you've had some changes in your life and you're what, like you're 10 or 11 years younger than I am, but you're
Yeah,
just entering
53.
your 50s. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
So your Chiron's probably just coming online here. And
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm in a whole other space where I work with women and advocate for women who are coming out of abusive relationships, and that's my story. So, yeah, I definitely resonate with that. And from an Enneagram perspective, that's the Enneagram for me too. I'm an 8, so that advocate and justice seeker.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that. I love the Enneagram too. I think I chose this direction because it was math oriented versus taking a test. I felt like I could outsmart that Enneagram test or, make it sound better than I was,
Yeah.
which isn't true. I need to go back because I have all the books on it and I know Richard Rohr. It's ancient.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I will be reflecting back on that one.
It is ancient, just like you were talking about with the other Kabbalah and what else? What you were talking about?
Well, the chakras and the
Yeah, the chakras,
astrology.
everything. Yeah, all of that. I mean, I guess just growing up as a, evangelical Christian in the West, so much of the Eastern philosophies and the Eastern, um, philosophies and stuff were shunned.
Mhm.
And I feel so sad that I'm just now being able to embrace some of those and learn from them, these ancient practices
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And you look at like stories about it, just stories in scripture where, how did the wise men find Jesus in scripture, right? It was a star. So
Mm,
you just they're the stories that are in our faith history too are very much wrapped around understanding the earth, coming from the earth
mhm,
itself, and also um, that concept of chaos, not understanding the earth was chaos, being in the wilderness, like we're just so tied to the earth and the planet. And yet, you're right, our experience is very much um, from that faith background is don't at all, don't pay attention to anything that's not um, out of this book right here in front of you.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm. And
exactly.
God forbid you say that God's in the trees, then all of a sudden you are a heretic.
Yeah. There's
There's
there's Stacy the heretic again.
oh, right there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it
This
didn't
is
behoove anybody, did it? It didn't behoove any particular religion to have you like any other religion
right.
or have you have personal access to
Mhm.
source. It was much safer to say, no, 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 we got you,
Hmm.
and box it
Yeah.
in, box it in, box it in. And so we're coming into an age of Aquarius out of 2,000 years of age of Pisces. Um, and we're coming into this, it's a different background frequency
Hmm.
Wow.
Well,
that
it's
is,
just
mhm.
if you say source, if I say spirit and I say I am a temple of the spirit, I have the spirit in me, and that's what I equate to wisdom and discernment and advocacy in me, and I see that connection. I mean, that's an experience of the divine that is very personal. It's within me. It's a connection that I have that's different than the connection that you have or that Marcia has. Um, and just, the work that I do now, there are so many people that I talk to that in itself, the idea of the Holy Spirit in us is very heretical and the church because you can't control experience. So in structures and in communities that seek control, they steer us away from the experience of God. And that's such a loss because it's literally what we can tap into here.
Mhm.
Amen.
Preach it, you heretic.
That that's right. That's 100. That's what I really know. I don't know how I know, but I know that same thing.
Yes. Yes.
And this map just shows you maybe what your prism looks like to other people.
Mm,
And then where that meant to come through 100%, but where you've had to block it because it was too much as a baby. So
mhm.
the places that we get to soften so we can receive more mature love, more grown up, pure light and be and share that, really.
Oh, this has been fascinating. What a great
Definitely.
conversation.
Oh.
I didn't realize how long we'd been talking, but we've just been chatting, chatting, chatting. I know. This has been so fun. Oh my gosh, Jen. Um,
Yes.
yeah, would human design with Jen.com? Is that what it is? If people want to connect with you and learn more about human design. And yeah, so you could do even if you're not in Nashville, you can zoom in.
Yeah, I do readings all over the country, mostly a little bit over the world, and they can come into that class on Monday nights.
Hmm.
Um, and I've just started offering a 20-minute, it's not on the website yet. It's
Okay.
$75. It's a 20-minute, just a voice memo. If I just, without you there, I just look at your chart and I go, la, 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 la. So they can get a listenable, where they can hear it over and over and feel what's true for them.
Oh,
Because it's
that's
a
great.
lot to process and sit down for an hour and just get blah.
Yeah.
I love it and I'm greedy for it, but some people can, we need it in doses.
Yeah. I'm just glad we're recording this because I'm going to have to go back and listen to some of this myself. I think this, yeah, you're right. It's like it's a lot to take in. But I love that. So you can basically you could make them a chart and then you'll sort of explain the chart to them over a little 20-minute voice message or whatever, and then they can have that to see what feels right to them and listen to what you have, read the chart. That's pretty cool. I love that.
That's right. I'm open-minded, or that's right. I'm emotional. I have to wait. That's right. Frustration is my key. Or,
Yeah.
we really get to have a
Mhm.
little bit of a checklist on how you are a goldfish. What kind of goldfish are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So humandesignwithjen.com. I love doing readings and I love doing podcasts and I love doing classes. So yeah, just come on.
Yeah, y'all reach out to Jen and get a reading. This is fascinating. Oh,
That's
this is,
fascinating.
I know. Thank you so much for joining us today. I don't know, we may have to have you back for part two because this is just so interesting. But no, thank you. You're just great. And you and I need to meet for coffee soon and catch up
Let's do it. Let's do it. It's
face
been
to
such
face.
an honor. Exactly. And
It'd be
like,
great.
here's to safety and surrounding everyone with golden light and letting that hurt
Yeah.
pass right over. No, just blow the wind, no damage.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I
Thank
know.
you.
We're sending love to everyone down there and in Florida, and Stacy's there. She's still got power as of now, it seems like. So we're hoping that you stay safe, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks so much. It's such a pleasure to talk to you about this. I'm really intrigued, so you might see me. You might see me in the future.
Oh, I have a lot to share with you there, honey. Awesome, you
Me
guys.
too.
Awesome.
I'm gonna have
I
to
can't
book a
wait to be a girlfriend.
full session.
Yeah.
Yes, you are a girlfriend. All right, we'll talk soon. Thanks,
Thank you so
Jen.
much. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Love yourself.
Well, that was fascinating.
Mind blowing.
I
Yes.
mean, oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to book a whole session with her and dig into this chart a little bit more.
It's just such an intriguing journey. Anytime you feel like you see yourself more clearly,
Hmm.
and the patterns that you have and the ways that you look at the world, and it's just so cool just to get to know yourself.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed her. She's so passionate about this tool and her
Hmm.
work with others, and I love to see that too.
Me too. Me too. Well, thanks, Jen, for coming on. That was a lot of fun. And let's see, in a couple of weeks, on November 4th is our next taping, and we're finally going to have our mastermind group that's coming on. That's going to
Yes.
be a whole hour of mastermind stuff, and we're going to explain a little bit about what a mastermind is and how you could maybe start your own mastermind, because that's what we did.
Mhm.
We just,
Mhm.
decided that we would gather some like-minded women and support one another, and it's been really fun. So we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks, and we hope to see you guys here. Thanks again for joining us here on the God of My Girlfriends podcast. Bye.
See you next time. Bye.